Welcome back to Buddhist Beliefs, Practices, and Debates. We're now in week 9 with an examination of Buddhisms and nature. You will find some intersections between this subject matter and our previous one on Buddhisms and business. The subject of Buddhism and nature, or ecology, or environmentalism, or even green Buddhism or eco-Buddhism, is a very polemical subject. Polemics implies there's a lot of debate and argumentation trying to persuade you for one direction or another. Most sources provide depictions of Buddhism and the environment as such. Mary Evelyn Tucker's edited volume, Buddhism and Ecology, The Interconnection of Dharma and Deeds, showcases how Buddhism neatly fits into a very environmental perspective. The explanation of the book states, quote, given the challenges of the environmental crisis, Buddhism's teaching of the interrelatedness of all life forms may be critical to the recovery of human reciprocity with nature. In this new work, 20 religionists and environmentalists examine Buddhism's understanding of the intricate web of life. Books such as Buddhism and Ecology present an idealized view of Buddhism. However, there is a lived form of Buddhism that does not necessarily correlate or correspond to this. Johann Alberskog writes in the Buddhist Footprint, "Do you want to be the Grinch who stole Buddhism?" An elderly gentleman asked me this question after I had given a talk in Berkeley on the environmental history of the Dharma here being the Buddhist teachings. Although the question did strike me as quite odd, albeit humorous, I did understand why it was being asked, since in my lecture I had pointedly argued against the popular image of the Dharma as an inherently environmental religion. I claimed instead that a better way to conceptualize Buddhism's historical relation to nature was to think of it as Max Oeschlager has summarized America's environmental history. Propelled by a capitalistic political economy, wilderness areas were transformed into civilization. Cities were built, canals dredged, forests cut and burned, grasslands fenced, and the land brought into use for crops and cattle. The republic was burgeoning demographically and economically, and wilderness was viewed almost exclusively as a natural resource to be exploited. Here, Elverskog argues that Buddhist countries, just like other countries, have exploited nature and made use of it full to the extent that they can. And so we can look to rice paddies and how much water is used for them. Or as Sue Darlington writes in our readings for this lecture, how looks can be deceiving when it comes to freeing a bird. As is indicative of last lecture's focus on Buddhism and business, we've seen tensions between monks having money and not, or condoning the growth of businesses or not. And there's actually conflicts between monks and big business in Thailand. Susan Darlington writes about environmental monks. She looks particularly at monks in north and northeastern Thailand, and from interviews with them, these environmental monks explain their duties are primarily to teach the Dhamma, which would be the Buddhist teachings, and to help the community. In fact, these monks see helping the community and teaching the Dhamma implicitly connected to ecology and environmentalism. They adapt rituals connected to Buddhism to suit and protect the environment. One of these is Buat Don Mai, If you see in this image, there are some saffron sashes tied around trees. What's happened is Buddhist monks have adapted these ceremonies and rituals in which you ordained Buddhist monks and do this for trees. And they then tie a yellow saffron sash around the tree. Another adaptation they do is the Sup Chata, which is a long life ceremony, usually used for elderly people or sick people to help extend their lives. But what people like Prakrumanas do is employ this ritual to extend and help streams that are going dry or replenish wetlands that are drying up. They cite principles embedded within Buddhism, such as Paticca Samuppada, the interdependence we've been talking about. They'll say that humans are responsible for nature because of the principle of dependent origination. Environmental monks talk about tanha, craving, and they relate big business to the unabated desire for more and more and more, and target capitalism as one of the culprits. And we can consider in this way Buddhista's Dhammic socialism. In 2003 and 2004, I interviewed environmental monks in Thailand, primarily in the north and northeast parts of Thailand. When I met with Prakrupitak, he had this to say. I had the same idea as other monks, that mostly monks should do meditation and should study the Buddhist beliefs. But at the same time, this is for myself. We should do things for other people. I want to help other people. I am a monk, and I think I should develop the villager and the people. And there are two kinds of people. The people who only need to develop their mind, and this kind of person has a perfect life. They have money, they have everything, but they should develop his or her mind. But the other kind of person is the one who has to develop both mind and living. For example, poor people need not only to develop their mind, it's also about how we can help them to stay in a happy life or living in a good way. It is said that the Buddha had preserved the forest 2,000 years ago. So in the Vinaya, the monastic guidelines, there are principles for monks. Monks cannot cut down green life, the trees. This is one conservation idea. Also, monks are not allowed to dig in the soil that has living things in it. And we are not allowed to use the river as a toilet. It also does not allow monks to make a fire outside the house or place of dwelling because in the past there was an abundance of forest. A monk would make a fire and it could go into the forest and become a forest fire. In the Vinaya, it says monks would find a peaceful place in the forest to meditate in the forest. And you would find solitude in the forest. Another concept I got from the biography of the Buddha. Consider the whole life of the Buddha. He was born in the forest, awakened in the forest, and died in the forest. Temples during the Buddhist period were mostly in the forest. So all these things gave me the idea for environmental conservation. And what he does and others is participate in Buddhonmai, ordaining trees, in order to stop against the growth of big business and to help out the villagers and the people. Prakrupitak speaks of collaboration with the community and government in order to help nature, the villager, and the people out. And this matches well with the idealized form of Buddhism. But there's a lived form as well that does not always nicely coincide well. The district of Phong in Chiang Mai province is surrounded by mountains and covered by clouds, but has one of the largest tangerine groves in Thailand. It's projected when I came to visit around 10 billion baht a year, which is roughly $250 million annually. And while that does not sound like a lot, when I visited the area in 2004, people were living off of $2 a day. And this is a $250 million business. When I met Pratigananek in 2004, he had spent 15 years trying to resuscitate the forest, which had once been rich in herbs and wildlife. He established the Wingdong Forest Conservation Community with representatives from each village, with him acting as the chairman. And he ordained 2 square kilometers of watershed forests using the Buddhism method, wrapping the trees in saffron robes. In a very candid manner, Prakrupitak explained to me, quote, the Bodpa is the ritual, a trick to stimulate people because humans, when they become a monk, most of the people will respect him and not do any damage to him, to hurt him. When we do Bodpa, when we hang the yellow cloth to cover the tree, that means to protect the tree, and people respect the tree. So that is the trick that applies Buddhist beliefs. In 2004, trick or not, it had worked. Since he had begun doing this work, Ajahn Atigananeg had been able to regenerate more than 12 square kilometers of forest. And this forest had begun again to serve as a source of livelihood for villagers who could now find food and medicine. At the time he was 50 years old and had spent 30 of those years as an ordained monk. When I asked him about his role in Thai Buddhism and environmentalism, he replied as follows. I think the Dhamma, the Buddhist teaching, was initiated to protect the people. When I study the Dhamma, I should bring the Dhamma to people by correlating their situation and problems to the Dhamma. They can then absorb the Dhamma to solve their problems. There's no words in the Dhamma that say, do not be involved with the world, focus on the Dhamma only. It was an idea that came from people who did not understand the true Dhamma. In fact, the Dhamma is natural, and the natural is the world. Here, Ajahn Atigananeg is responding to critics, Buddhist monks who say that monks should not be involved in helping out with the environment because it's getting too political, it's getting too social, that they should only look at lokuttara, otherworldly concerns, and not lokya, this worldly concerns. However, in response to this, Ajahn Atigananeg considers his duties normal for a monk. He focuses on the problems of the area, and for his area, the particular issue is the forest, and thus he feels addressing this is unavoidable. When asked what he would like people in the United States to know, Ajahn Atigananeg responded, I am worried about the situation with the global environment. Everyone has to be concerned and cooperate in solving this problem. There cannot be just a person or a group, but everyone must work together. I would like everyone to restrict their greed. Greed makes problems in every part of the world, especially when it involves a community, forest, land, water, and air. All these are defaced by humans. I would like everyone to cooperate in solving these issues. No matter what nationality you are, no matter what religion you are, let everyone be joined in brotherhood, just like how all humans are born, get sick, become old, and die. While Ajahn Atigananeg has found success fighting against big business, other monks have been less fortunate. On the night of June 17, 2005, Prasapot Suwajo was thought to have been hacked to death by a group of people. His mutilated body was found on a small path not far from Suanmetta Dharm Forest Monastery in Chiang Mai's Phang district. Prasapot's death still remains a mystery. Local police in Phang district first pointed to the conflict between this monk and villagers over the cutting of trees in the monastery grounds. Police said the monk's death might have resulted from a dispute between villagers and him over the cut bamboo. Another police theory was a dispute over payments to villagers the monastery had hired to cut the trees. Prasapot Suwacho was an active member of Sekyatam, an informal organization of socially engaged monks, and was involved in trying to protect the land around the meditation center where he lived in Chiang Mai province. from being converted into a tangerine plantation. At first glance, the case seems to be a straightforward instance of land conflict, but put into the broader context of the growing number of monks engaged in environmental activism, however, possible assassination can be seen as evidence of tensions that are growing between engaged monks and big business. Not only are there differences between idealized religion and lived religion, but we see sometimes that there are views that are split within the lived Buddhist tradition when it comes to issues such as the environment. It was Buddhists who killed Prasopot, and it's Buddhists who work for these tangerine grove companies. At the same time, there are wonderful environmental monks like Pratigana Anek and others working to foster a more interconnectedness between people and their environment. This lecture can be seen as a bookend to the last lecture on Buddhism and business. In many ways, these two subjects are interconnected because the ways in which humans and nature, as Marx put it, are connected are very intimate. And in this world right now that we live in, business is thus part of this process and relationship. Please make sure to answer the questions posted on Blackboard for the week, the discussion thread for week 9. Do not forget to respond to at least 2 of your classmates' answers as well. And these answers and responses are all due before Friday at 5 p.m. I look forward to your comments and posts. And if you have any questions, please email me at mjerrison@gmail.com.